But we're still gonna push out Windows 10. We might play with Windows 11 and see what type of time we've got. I'll look at downloading a new ISO image for it. See if they've got a long-term, a business edition of Windows 11. I think I only was able to grab Pro version. Don't know that I've seen an enterprise edition of it yet. So a new virtual machine will just be an AM LAN 1 last name client 1. Wow, it's different, drastically different. We're no longer server, got a client. Now 3 servers for 1 client. That's very useful, very efficient. Joking, of course. So as we go next, this Windows is 64-bit, so next, memory will be dynamic memory. With 4096. The networking will be internal. $30 gig, 32 gig should be plenty. I think 64 gig is the minimum on Windows 11. I'm pretty sure 64 gig, something like that. We can install Windows 10 with 32 gig. We're not going to be doing anything but playing with it as a client. And you can install your own Windows 10 separately and make it a bridged adapter if you want to fiddle around. Or download an ISO Windows 11 and install it in a virtual machine and play around with it. You'd have to get at least a minimum 64 gig for it, for hard drive size. Okay, next, we're going to install our long-term 2019 build of Windows 10. Your ISO should already be out there. We don't want the 1607. That's getting a little bit too dated. So Win_10_ENT LTS for long-term servicing channel 2019. You see it? Select that and go ahead and do an install of Windows 10. Shouldn't be any problem with you installing Windows 10. You should be able to do that by yourself now. Same process of installing a server. You just ask fewer questions. I'm going to go ahead and record my part though and get Windows 10 going. You choose which one you think. If it screws up, all you have to do is just redo it. If it works, then you click the right option. You must have clicked custom.
What do we use in our book? We're not .5, we are
We're .5. Afternoon is .6. Yeah, I'm gonna say it didn't really matter which one you picked on here, but I both have Windows 10. So if you're doing this for any customer, don't ever pick in. Unless there's some type of government regulation, you know, to install the end version. I think they actually did that for some government somewhere in the world.
It's just like, give the government fund can't have TikTok on
TikTok should just be illegal anyway.
it. TikTok. I want to be able to agree with that. Backward engineering TikTok and terrifying.
I'll resume recording. Once you get Windows 10 installed, if you're not playing catch up,
I can do both.
then there's your challenge to do. Or if you're not working in test out or whatever. It looks like a fun challenge. Can you figure it out? That was your goal, finish installing Windows 10 and do all of this today. See if you did it the Microsoft way or your own little way that also still works. I'm going to connect now, connect to the internet now, and blah, blah. Yes, go back to, no, I want to connect to the internet. Who's going to use this PC? I am. I don't want a password. Very creative. My account, I am. Do more. I don't want to do more. No. I don't want any of this. It doesn't matter. We're not connected to the internet, so they're not going to get any junk. But typically, I turn everything off so that it's at least off until the next security patch, you know, turns them all on in the background. We don't see it. I've heard rumors of that happening. As soon as the first service pack comes in, it turns all that back on and be turned off. So
A lot of this stuff was given sent out, so it's free.
it's going to start up. I'm going to use the cog wheel to change the computer name the modern way instead of using the control panel way. As an IT person, as long as the Windows pause break key is still available. My laptop doesn't have a pause break key, really annoys me. Even though it's a 17-inch screen laptop. Would have space for that pause break key, but it doesn't. But Windows pause break brings up the system properties. Very useful if you're having to go through and manage a bunch of computers at one time. It's also considered a legacy way to change computer names and join domain. Yeah, the legacy way. I would still do the legacy way. If I was doing it in production, I'd use Windows key, hold it down, tap pause break, and wait for system properties and make changes here on this screen. But I'm not going to, because I'm going to show you where Microsoft is headed. But as long as that's still there, that's what I'm going to do. Unless I'm teaching, and then I'll show you Microsoft's way of they're heading to putting everything under the new cog wheel and doing away with the control panel options. So if you come to a time where the pause break no longer works and you have to use this cog wheel, okay, change the computer name and joining the domain are in two separate locations. System is for a computer name and accounts is for joining the domain in the new modern Microsoft workflow. It's a lot slower than their old workflow, but it looks prettier. So I go to the, you know, what did I click on? About what it was, system. I clicked on system. So instead of system properties, it's now moved into this screen. Scroll down to about, and I can rename this PC with one click. Click. Client 1. Next. Restart. So that's not too difficult. I don't guess it's much more difficult than changing the computer name before, but now I'd have to remember there's another area, the computer name and domain's not in the same spot anymore using the cogwheel. So here's the pause break screen again. See, I'm client 1. You know, I click change and everything's in one spot. It's not so anymore. Cogwheel. No longer under system. I think the first edition of Windows 10, it was under system, the 15, 11 or 15, whatever, first one. It's under accounts.
It was Windows, this way that you're doing right now was complaining to me. But your legacy way, I mean, just let me do it.
Yeah. So access worker school. This is where it's at. Accounts, access worker school, connect. Sometime in the future, this may be the only path to do this. Of course, there should always be the command prompt PowerShell or the join domain command, but if you have internet, it's going to be a while before this pops up down here. I didn't have internet, so it popped up pretty quickly. But if I've been on a machine doing this that actually had internet connection, I just have to sit there and wait. And then all of a sudden, like, okay, you're not trying to join you're not typing anything here. Maybe you want to do this. Like, yes, Microsoft. I don't want to connect to Azure. So join a local network. Telso.com. Next. Yeah, my IP address. I already know that. Again, the internet settings isn't the old school internet settings anymore. Just a pop up. Right click to open network. Network and internet settings. I have to click on Ethernet. They've been changing this up. Feature set for feature set. Change adapter settings. Finally get to the legacy dialog box. And go to properties. TCP/IP. I think most of y'all probably got this in here. Let's say 192.168.5.50. And the 192.168. Should have only given you that address and told you to figure the rest of it out. That's all you should have been able to be told is the IP address. You should have been look on the other computers and determine the subnet mask and DNS settings. Especially if you ever become an IT consultant and you go from business to business, you should be able to do that. Figure out what their network range and stuff is.
So I was just making sure I typed that one right. I click change the adapter option.
Mhm.
And Windows cannot access this website without I'm under administration.
That's weird. That should work. Okay, look back to the cogwheel. I got my IP address. Now I can go to accounts, access worker school, connect. Now I've got an IP address and not a PIP address. It's going to really try to access Microsoft. We got DNS servers. Look, I think I really should phone home. Hard to run Windows now without internet and them tracking everything you're doing. But we just wait. Retry the join. Should have better luck this time. This here was probably good back in the 90s. Pointless now with Active Directory and group policy and centralized administration, so you should just always skip this step. Microsoft added this into Windows 10. I don't know why. There's no point in having this step at all. Everything's controlled by your servers, so skip that step and restart now. If you didn't skip that step, that may be why you don't have rights to things.
I didn't go to the end to do that.
So I'm now going to log in as other user. At Cadosa.com. I'm going to see if I can get to the same error that you're getting to. So if you logged in as administrator at Cadosa.com, pass 1, 2, 3, 4. See if I have the same error you're getting with viewing the network settings. Interesting. So I've joined into the domain. I'm going to check computer management, local users and groups. Now I don't need this IAM anymore. It doesn't have a password. Pretty bad to try to use it. The groups over here, I should find the administrators group. I should find that domain administrators, which includes the administrator account in Cadosa.com, has full administrative access. Administrators have complete and unrestricted access to the computer/domain. If that's visible, we should not be getting an error. We try to go and click the link, view the network settings, so we are. I'll try one more thing. I'm going to log off and log back in.
You put the Active in there?
About 50. That's the only thing different from your server 1, server 2, server 3 address on the client is it's just .50 at the end. So I can see the address, clicking on the adapter options link. Networking sharing center, that works. Now I can go to the legacy network and sharing center and click Ethernet and bring up the properties. Interesting.
And I could take it after option.
Yeah, we do too. We're locked out. We have to hit network and sharing center. Just,
Oh, right there.
Yep.
So how would you do that? Like a local account, do it all admin, like, administration, right? And then maybe mess with like the Cadosa one on the rest of the year.
I'd make sure all the patches were installed. This isn't connected to the internet to install patches, so it could be a flaw with that. Could also be a flaw that we don't have it activated. So I need to make sure it's activated, see if that had anything to do with it. And then I'd jump to Google and research the problem on that, see what was going on. Somebody else has seen this problem. But I can still get there by going to the old network and sharing center after I've logged in with the domain. I did delete the local account, as you've seen, out of computer management. those local accounts can be problematic because nobody's changing the password or verifying there's not a null password on them. Depending on company's policy, like Children's Hospital had 16-character password that they put on the local administrator account and had it enabled. I typically always setting up a domain, unless it's company policy, it's above me. I'd prefer the administrator account to be disabled. And I'd carry around a bootable recovery Windows PE environment, pre-execution environment, basically like an installer type environment that could log in and re-enable and blank out the administrator password if I ever needed to get local access, which happens from time to time. The domain membership can get corrupted. We'll practice that step and what you would have to do if all of these accounts are disabled and you need to get into the administrator account. Maybe you bought a laptop from a pawn shop and the admin account's locked out. You can easily get into that. I've got a neighbor that constantly wants me to break passwords. I get lots of free meals that way. I don't ever, restaurants are too expensive. I'll break a password. Let's go eat some fish at someplace, Crooked Hook or something. Chili's or. So I work for food. I work for food. Yeah, everybody kind of works for food. I'm going to check on my server one. I'm going to check my Active Directory users and computers tool from server one. Did you get him caught up? Maybe. I don't see client one. Oh, it's where it's not supposed to be, but we just joined it. So yes, it's supposed to be there. What should we do with it? Drag it somewhere else in the folder that's an organizational unit. So we don't have a group policy set for workstations, but that's okay. We've not designed one yet for it. Client one should be under workstations. The server 3 should be under member servers. Find it. Found out 4 of them. It's under computers. You'll have to drag it. Let's see where everybody's at. So I think Kerrigan's got Keaton. You've probably still got some firewalling and policies and stuff to set from Monday. William, you're all set up, I think. Dalton, you good? Tyler, have you found, where are you at? my favorite show when I was like 4 and 5. I had to watch it. He like came to like Kmart or Target or something like that. No, one of the characters, and we had to go. Parents had to take me. I seen it on the commercial or something. Screamed until they made sure I got to go see. Okay, so where are you? You got the server joined to the domain? What about checking server 1 and checking Active Directory and making sure it's there? Over 1 tools. Yeah. So look at computers. You've got desktop. Doesn't look like the name has changed. So you can drag it into workstations. Click yes. Go back to your Windows 10. Let's check out what's going on with the name. So go up to your cogwheel. You just left click on it. That's weird. What have you done? Now that looks better. Okay, so click on System, scroll down to About, very bottom, and click to rename this PC. Uh-oh. Sweet. Are you logged in as administrator? Okay, then just use your Windows pause break key. We'll just go old school on it. Is that what pops? No, Windows pause break should bring a different. Should be system. Search for system. Down under settings, system. That should be it. Yep, that's the old school. Change. And click change again. Client 1. You should have clicked restart. Go and just right click and start menu and restart.
Oh, no.
What?
Server 1, server 2 have capital S, and server 3 doesn't. Oh,
Yeah, now you're in trouble.
not good.
Yeah, let's check, right click the start menu and go to computer management, make sure all user accounts were deleted that you created anyway. So click users and groups up there, local users and groups, open it up, go under users, and that client 1 user should be deleted. The other should stay though. Okay, you're good. That is very common to do. Day-to-day operations and creating the Condelso domain, installing servers and stuff is normally not day-to-day operations it should be doing. It's a one-off, a few times a year that you would do stuff like that. Setting up a Windows 10, joining it to the main, changing your computer accounts, setting up, getting rid of those local accounts and stuff on there. That's quite common, more common anyway. More of your really common is probably resetting people's passwords because they come in Monday morning and they don't remember what the password was from last week. That's an even more common task. Yep.
I got scanned of $40 or so. I did. Look. No, the problem was, so.
Okay, we don't care about your skin.
Okay.
Let's do
I did.
one more thing today, and we'll configure it on Friday. Sounds good. Server 3, we put it out there as a member server because Active Directory domain controller shouldn't do anything but what Active Directory services need to do, which is DNS and Active Directory. We shouldn't share printers, shouldn't share any resources off of server 1 and server 2. They're domain controllers. Don't try to, put like a software deployment share, anything like that. They should just specifically be Active Directory. Because you don't want some other service to start having issues or whatever, and then that in turn bleeds over and messes the whole server up that's running Active Directory and messes your whole domain up. So best practice, only run Active Directory on Active Directory servers. Don't install any extra tools. Don't browse the internet on the machines, anything like that. Server 3, though, is a member server. It's not running Active Directory services. And we installed some role services on it via PowerShell and via graphical interface on Monday. We installed print and document services and file sharing service. Server 3 is going to be what we can, share resources to client 1. Server 1 and 2 is maintaining the permissions and registry settings and stuff, the group policy, Active Directory stuff that's controlling client 1 and any user accounts that we create in the future. But server 3 is things that the person that's sitting at client 1 or things the IT person is wanting to push client 1, things it can consume. Client 1 can consume Google Chrome as an installation. Users can consume things like file shares and stuff, maybe an HR document. Don't come in drunk forgetting your password on Monday morning, stuff like that. They can consume information. So server 3 is going to house resources for the client to consume. And then server 1 and 2 is, they're the central management controlling user database, password stuff. Cool. So now we know why we have server 3 out there. There's one other thing to do with server 3 and another best practice. If you're going to be sharing resources for remote people to have access to it, don't share those resources off of C drive. You could inadvertently, be messing with and sharing stuff out, accidentally maybe give access to all of C drive to remote people. As long as you don't put anything on C drive, users could, if you shared a folder on C drive, they could do stuff like torrent a whole bunch of videos and music and fill the hard drive up and crash the server. Somebody got fired in the late 90s in Little Rock. They crashed the server. Some admin did not follow best practices. And these have been out there for a long time. So it got me a couple $1 million in sales because they were down for a while. But yeah, he called into the Corey and Jay show. It's not Corey and Jay anymore. It's one of them retired. I don't know if the other one's still Corey and Patrick. No. It was a long time ago.
Called in complaint?
Yeah, he got fired. So he was downloading illegal stuff, filled the server up. So is when music stealing became big. It's like Napster. You ever heard of that? Yep. So the best practice is either partition your drive out, so you have different volumes. You have a C drive that only put Windows on and Windows updates and stuff. And then you have another drive letter that you install other services or other programs or share resources to clients. So if a program goes haywire, if users go, rogue and do stuff they're not supposed to be doing, they fill up drive B, it's not going to crash your system. If you put a thumb drive in your computer and fill it up, Windows isn't going to crash because your thumb drive is full. If you fill your C drive up, you're going to have not very pleasant experience with Windows anymore, especially on servers. So let's do a couple of fixes. We need to add a second drive to server 3 so we can just experience what you should have in production. I'm going to also need to fix the client 1. So I'm going to log into client 1 and shut it down. The settings of client 1, we forgot to set the maximum RAM to 4096. I don't care about minimum. Windows 10 is always going to consume a chunk. So,
You want to do our processes too?
nah.
No?
It's not running a database or anything. It's just running Windows 10 stuff. Click OK. So you sure it's off and not like paused or something? Check out. So yeah, so you right click and go settings. See it is grayed out.
I'm watching your little program.
I think it says you need to start it again. Go ahead and start it again. And make sure you use the start menu to shut it down. If you just click the red or the black square to stop it, that may be. Go ahead and start it back up. Let's watch your shutdown process here. So yeah, just log back into it and try one more time. But make sure you right click the start menu and tell it to shut down. Okay, now go up to file and settings. Yeah, bump that RAM to 4096 up there. There you go. And then click OK. You may have done a hard power down instead of a shutdown. I don't know. Or it just didn't detect that you shut it down. It's fixed now. Server 3, I'm going to go ahead and connect to server 3, and I'm going to log into server 3. I'm going to run sconfig, and I'm going to shut down server 3 from within sconfig.
You want to shut it down?
Yep. Work. Well, that's probably hot add, but yeah, I'm going to go and shut it down. You want to shut down? Yeah, let's shut down. probably would have hot added the drive. Just to be on the safe side. So I go to settings. Click on SCSI controller. How you pronounce that? SCSI. 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 Karen, where are you stuck at? You could probably just, I think you can add a drive even without shutting it down. Just go up to File and Settings and click on SCSI. Oh, there it goes. Why is your color in magenta? Okay. Did you run sconfig and shut down? Or did you restart? Go ahead and run sconfig and do the shutdown. Was it like 13? Was it shutdown? No, what 14. Yeah. Okay, now go to File and Settings up there. Click on SCSI. Nope, not SCSI controller, the actual on the left side. You're on add hardware. Yeah, there you go. Click on that. Now you see add hard drive. Let's add a hard drive. Add. We're going to click new. New. Next. Dynamically expanding. Yep. Next. Name. Name. AM. LAN 1 Goodman server 3 disk 2. So we know what it is.
ALIBSD2.
No, there's enough acronyms already. No.
Yeah.
Let's go next. So this will be what we'll be, providing lots of resources to client one. So I think we could, 10 gig probably is enough. Nah, 10 gig should handle anything. We're not going to play it a whole lot. We're going to have Google Chrome on it, and we're going to make about a gigabit of crap on it later on. But
see, then I think we should do a widespread virus all over our servers through ad.
no.
That's a virus. Like something real bad.
Okay, everybody good with that?
Yeah.
All right, next, and we're 10 gig, not 100 gig, 10 gig. No. And we'll go ahead and finish. Okay. And just click OK. Let's start server 3 back up. Not, yeah, not get it. There's one way around it. Just don't get it.
Yeah, but there was that. I love watching documentaries about viruses. Have you ever seen those on YouTube? They're super interesting. Like they're talking about.
Okay, server 3 back up and running. With server 3 back up and running, we can do one more little check to make sure server 3 is seeing it. If we go to if we go to file and storage services and server one, and you click on disk, and you may have to refresh. Server 3 might appear in the list and show you that you've got your 10 gig unformatted blank brand new hard drive, nice and shiny, sitting right there. Did you refresh top of the page? So do not go run ahead and partition this thing, because old school partitioning is not what we're going to use. There's a new drive AI that we're going to run. Most large data is using something different than probably what you learned in hardware software for partitioning drives in a client machine. Server side's different. There's, you know, things like YouTube where the people are uploading 500 hours of video per minute. Like, I can't watch all of YouTube. You can't watch 500 hours in a minute. So we're going to close this down. And we're going to go to lunch.
No, I'm about to stay here. I'm about to finish this Friday class. Come on, Wayne. Come on, Wayne.